Have you ever considered that an object, a simple artifact carved from crystal, could be much more than an archaeological relic? What if it is, in truth, a key to a realm of consciousness so advanced it challenges everything we know about reality, time, and history? The crystal skulls are perhaps one of the greatest mysteries left by lost civilizations, and also one of the most closely guarded secrets by the institutions that are supposed to study them. Why do famous museums hide their crystal skulls in dark basements, far from public view? Why have governments spent fortunes to acquire these pieces, only to lock them away, as if they represented a threat? The answer is simple and frightening. Because they do. They are not mere symbols of death, as popular culture wants you to believe. They are portals to an ancestral collective consciousness, a database of all that has ever been known, and all that yet could be. This is not a documentary about archaeology. This is an investigation into the control of reality, and the truth will take you far beyond what you are prepared to hear. The official history tells us that the crystal skulls were discovered in the late 19th century, supposedly found in Mayan ruins by adventurers. The convenient narrative is that they are beautiful sculptures, made with primitive tools, nothing more. But this story has more holes than Swiss cheese. The quartz crystal used in some of them, like the famous Skull of Destiny, is of such rare purity and size that even with our modern technology, it would be difficult to replicate them with such precision. Analyses show they were carved against the natural axis of the crystal, a technique that would cause them to chip and break if attempted with primitive hand tools. So, how were they made? Traditional science has no convincing answer. It is content to call them forgeries. 19th century frauds. So it can ignore them and leave them rotting in a forgotten archive. But what if the fraud is not the skull, but the story they told you about it? There are legends from Native American tribes and Central American shamans that speak of a time when the ancients received these artifacts, not as sculptures, but as communication devices. They would be, in fact, a form of transcendental technology, hardware to access a specific frequency of consciousness. A cosmic internet of knowledge. The ancients did not use silicon chips. They used crystals, and quartz crystal is one of the best conductors and amplifiers of energy and information on the planet. Our own modern computers use silicon chips, a cousin of quartz, to process data. This is not a coincidence. It is an echo of a universal principle. The legend says there were 13 main skulls, and that when reunited in a specific place and at a specific time, they would awaken and release all their knowledge to humanity, initiating a new golden age. Sound familiar? Sounds like a prophecy, a new age fairy tale. But what if it is a technical instruction? The dispersal of these skulls was not an accident. It was a strategy to prevent this power from falling into the wrong hands, or from being activated before its time. Who would these wrong hands be? Those who want to maintain the status quo. Empires, obscure governments, secret societies that have operated for centuries behind the scenes of world power. They understood the danger such an object represents, a device that can give a simple man access to the knowledge of entire civilizations, the wisdom of millennia, the answer to problems that plague us today. If people could access this, they would become so. They would not need governments to tell them what to do, companies to sell them solutions, or religions to give them hope of salvation. The crystal skull is, therefore, the antithesis of control. It is the key to spiritual and intellectual autonomy. That is why it has been hunted, confiscated, and hidden. Museums like the British Museum and the Smithsonian are full of artifacts that are never displayed, locked in basements, because they tell a story that is not convenient for the narrative of a young and primitive humanity that is sold to us. They prove that ancient civilizations possessed knowledge that we are still crawling to understand. The crystal skull is the ultimate proof. But how can a stone object be a portal? The answer lies in the science they still don't want you to fully know. Quantum physics and the nature of consciousness. Everything in the universe is vibration, is frequency. Our thoughts are frequencies. Quartz crystal has a property called piezoelectricity. It can convert mechanical pressure into electrical energy, and vice versa. It is used in watches, radios, and computers. precisely for its ability to maintain a stable and precise frequency. Now, imagine that the mechanical pressure is not physical, but mental. The pressure of focused intention, of consciousness. Shamans and mediums who have worked with genuine crystal skulls report experiences of visions, information downloads, access to memories that are not their own. Spontaneous healing. They describe the skull as an antenna, a router that tunes the human mind into the so-called Akashic records or universal consciousness. The crystal amplifies the frequency of our intention and transmits it, and also receives information from this universal library, translating it into images, sensations, and wisdom within our mind. This is not mysticism. It is spiritual technology. It is a technology that works with the natural laws of the universe, laws we are only reading. And this brings us to the heart of the conspiracy. Why was this knowledge suppressed? Because it puts the power back in the hands of the individual. No longer as an institution, a priest, a guru, or a scientist needed to be the intermediary between you and supreme knowledge. The skull, in theory, allows anyone with the proper intention and preparation to access this field. This is revolutionary. This is extremely dangerous for any control structure. They cannot allow people to discover that they themselves are gods, are creators, are holders of all knowledge. Dependence is what keeps the system running. The skull breaks that dependence. So, what to do? How can we access this forbidden portal if the genuine skulls are locked in museum basements? The truth is that the physical object, although powerful, is only a focal point, an aid. The true crystal skull is inside your own mind. The pineal gland, in the center of your brain, is known as the third eye, precisely because it is a crystal. It contains apatite crystals and is sensitive to light and the Earth's magnetic field. It is your internal antenna. The external crystal skull is just a mirror, a reminder, a tool to tune and activate the internal skull that already exists within you. The activation process does not require a rare physical artifact. It requires mental training. It is a path of introspection, of silence, of focusing intention. The ancients knew this. They created the physical objects as tools for beginners. But the ultimate goal was always independence, the internalization of power. The method is more accessible than you imagine, but requires discipline. The first step is antenna cleansing. Your pineal, your internal skull, may be calcified by years of fluoride in water, toxins in food, and, more importantly, by the constant mental noise of modern life. Reducing consumption of processed foods, drinking filtered water, and practicing meditation are essential to unclog this channel. The second step is frequency tuning. In a state of deep meditation, visualize a violet or golden light entering the top of your head and concentrating in the center of your brain. In the pineal region, imagine this light activating a small crystal, making it spin and shine brighter and brighter. Feel this light expanding. The third step is conscious download. With the antenna activated, it is time to tune in. Ask a specific question to the universe. It can be about a personal problem, about knowledge you seek, about your purpose. And then, instead of actively thinking about the answer, be silent. Listen. Be open to insights, images, sensations, or wisdom that may suddenly arise in your mind, as if downloaded from an external source. Write down everything that comes. The fourth and final step is reality integration. Knowledge that is not applied is useless information. Take the insight you received and take a practical action, no matter how small, based on it. This signals to the universe that you are ready to receive more and solidifies the connection. The physical crystal skull is a powerful symbol, but it points to a much greater truth. You are already the portal. You already have the key. The conspiracy of silence around these artifacts exists only because someone does not want you to discover this. They want you to keep looking at the external object, desiring something rare and unattainable, while ignoring the jewel that is already inside your skull. The true skull of destiny is not a quartz sculpture in a museum. It is your awakened consciousness. Everything that came before, the legends, the hunts, the secrets, was a prelude to this moment. To the moment when you stop seeking the answer out there and start tuning into the frequency that already echoes within you. The portal was never lost. It was only dormant, waiting for you. The question that remains is, are you ready to use the key?